Let's go! Let's go, everybody. This is Dollar Bill. Welcome to another edition of SPiTBALLiN. Listen, I apologize in advance because I have to do the show from my car today because it has been a crazy day here on Long Island the Friday before the Super Bowl. My daughter has a play tonight. My son's working out at the gym afterwards. My wife needed this. The dog needed that. Needless to say, I have been all over the map today. And, of course, you know, I'm here to do everything else for everyone else. So now it's time to do the show for you. And it made me a little more angry and gave me a little more clarity. Like I needed to be more angry doing the show today. But it's going to be a good one. Because the Knicks get an F+. But, of course, I want you to follow and tell all your friends about the show on Facebook and Twitter. We're figuring out that Twitter. I'm not so good at it yet. We're working on it. YouTube for sure. And my not-so-nice friends at TikTok, I got a couple letters of them. You know, they don't like when I talk about luge, but they can have half-naked women walk around scantily clad and talk about sex all day. But, you know, the old 50-year-old guy who wears glasses on his head with bad hair makes him blush. So, the trade deadline came and went. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies of all time, A Bronx Tale. If you haven't seen it, go see it. In the movie, it's about a gangster and the growing up in Brooklyn and the trials and tribulations of being a gangster and with the demise of the main character, Sonny. But he always said Sonny always took little Canolgino underneath his wing and tried to teach him the good things in life as a gangster and was not really, you know, when you're a head, you know, you're not really a great guy, but he was always good to see. And he always gave great advice and said, you know, there's nothing worse in life than wasted talent. And in the NBA, there should be a saying, too. And I don't know who should say this. Maybe Phil Jackson or someone could have a little zen and say this. There's nothing worse in the NBA than being mediocre or slightly worse. Because the Knicks are stuck in neutral. And for those of you who don't know stick shift cars, if you're a younger audience, you know, when you have a gear and you used to have to shift and you look at a car and say, oh, what's that extra pedal for? It used to be a gear shifter. And most times you would put the car in neutral. No gear. That means you're not going up and you're not going down. And that's a perfect case scenario for the Knicks in 2022. Listen, are we making the play-in game? Probably not. It would be a push to get to the 10 seed. But do we really want it? That would make us a lottery team. Right now, we select 10th in the lottery. So we would have a snowball's chance of moving up. But as it stands right now, the Knicks would have pick number 10. And at 10, you don't get any life-changing people, at least initially. There's no Zion or RJ, and there's no, savior. There's no savior at 10. There usually isn't anyway. And, of course, even if there was, the Knicks would find a way to screw it up. And, you know, heaven forbid, you know, we'd get the ping pong ball, we'd win the ping pong ball. Yeah, that would never happen. We'd pick the guy who'd break his leg forever. The Knicks would find a way to draft Greg Oden 2.0. That's what the Knicks do. But the Knicks are so stuck in mediocrity. And, you know, we're not even talking about their big win last night in Golden State because no one cares. Julius Randle playing his ass off now. No one cares. The season's, done. We're not that good. And it had trade deadline day. Now, listen. Yesterday for the Knicks wasn't the day. We weren't going to go out and get Ben Simmons. We weren't going to go and get KP and bring Porzingis back. But my God, how the mighty have fallen there. We weren't getting any of that back. But we have fringe pieces that could be useful on another team. I mean, the Lakers made no move yesterday. You know, they still have Russell Westbrook on their roster. It is infuriating as a Knicks fan. It is. Listen, Kemba Walker with this coach does not fit on the Knicks. The French Poodle, Pepe Le Pew, Evan Fournier, while he's having nice games now, Where was he when the season was in the balance? Non-existent. Alex Burke taking a step back, but people, if he played a reduced role, he's not a starting point guard, and he played a reduced role, and his minutes would go down, his productivity would probably go way up. Still a useful player. Can we make some moves for the future? I mean, then there's Julius Randle. Listen. Julius Randle seems like he wants to be an alpha dog. Unfortunately, the little puppy who must be an Android guy, not an Apple guy, the way he smashes computers. But he's not an A-level guy for New York. And he's not the guy to build around. He's just not. He's a complimentary piece. He could be a Robin to a very good Batman. But he could never be Batman on a good team. Because, right now, the Knicks are not a good team. They're just not. And they're going nowhere. So now, like Sonny says, we are stuck in neutral. Nothing worse in life than wasted talent. We're wasting Julius Randle. And he's been playing his ass off. But you know what? I think a lot of Knick fans agree. As soon as he went thumbs down on the Knick fan, the Knick fan went thumbs down on him. They don't want him anymore. They could have had one of their biggest wins of the year last night. And the Knick fan doesn't care. Because all we know is Worldwide West did nothing to improve the outlook of this team. It's so doom and gloom with the Knicks. And listen, as much as I'm a Yankee fan and I like the Giants, and when you get down to it, the one sports team that really resonated in all 5 boroughs in the city, even Brooklyn, is the Knicks. The Knicks are the heartbeat of New York. They truly are. And for Worldwide West not to make any move yesterday says they don't care, says they're inept, and it says a lot of things like, we keep waiting for, he keep hearing about the future. I'm waiting for this piece. Well, I lived through Patrick Ewing, and, he needed a Robin in the worst way. He had John Starks, who was bagging groceries. Anthony Mason was a cast-off. Oakley was a great player for what he did. If in a dark alley at 58 years old, I'd still take him. But there was never that complimentary guy. Never got one of them. What makes you think we're going to get someone to New York to be a star? They're not coming. And if you really want to get on Dolan for other things, let's get on the Knicks for this. The Knicks are the most valuable franchise in all sports in North America. Crazy, right? They're the most valuable franchise, more than the Cowboys, more than the Yankees. It's the Knicks. It's not the Lakers, it's the Knicks, which is insane, right? You look at their payroll, and those guys, I don't normally care about the guys sitting courtside, the Wall Street guys drinking $40 craft beers. Spike Lee spends $100,000 for his seat every year. He can afford to pay it. And they pay it. But they have the highest seat price in the NBA. Maybe Golden State has eclipsed that. The Lakers are in there. So at worst, they're the top 3. They're the most valuable franchise in all of North America, and especially the NBA. Do you know where they are? Where they sit salary-wise? Want to take a guess? They are 3rd from the bottom in salary spent on players. This does not work in New York. We are a blue-collar team. We pay high ticket prices. We've had shit to deal with for the last 20 years. We deserve better. There are 2 teams underneath us in salary. One is Orlando, and one is Memphis. And then there's the Knicks sitting right next. That can't fly. The Knick fan has to revolt now because we're stuck in the middle. We're not good enough. We're not good enough to bad enough to get a lottery pick. We're not really good enough to. Do you really want to make the play-in game? I mean, let's say you happen to win, get to the 10. You're really going to beat the 7? You're going to beat Boston? Maybe then you get your head beaten. And it's like, why did we bother? It's like the playoffs last year. You had game 2, and you got to say F Trae Young, but at the end of the day, we got smoked. Last year is so much history is gone. It's despicable. It didn't even matter. Get set up. It made this year even worse because there was expectation going into the year. If you listen to my show early in the year, I said the Knicks would fall off a cliff. I didn't realize they would take a fall off like Mount Kilimanjaro, just a cliff. But the Knicks fan is very, very sour this morning. So kudos to Mr. Marks doing his thing in Brooklyn. Worldwide West, the Knicks fan is watching you. You did nothing. Our coach is a problem. Our best player is a problem. And if you came out and said people didn't want our players because they weren't good enough, that's a reflection on you. And that will not be tolerated much, much longer. That's it for this edition of SPiTBALLiN. You can catch us on the Let's Go Network on Facebook and hopefully Twitter soon because I suck at Twitter, but I'm getting better. YouTube and my friends at TikTok. I'd like to TikTok them in the head. But, I won't talk about luge. I guess I'll be okay, right? So kudos to the Nets and F- to the Knicks. And it's just counting the days till baseball season. Oh, wait. We don't have that either. Oh, then, if I can make it through the summer, then there's jet football. Somebody punch me in the face, please. Dollar bill. Next time on SPiTBALLiN, we will do a show before the Super Bowl. I will give you some good bets and prop bets. If you don't want to listen or you're too busy to listen, you want to know, just take the Rams. Rams are down to 3.5. Take the Rams. They're going to win by 2 scores because Dollar Bill said so. Catch you next time on the show. Tell your friends. Bye.